water's edge there from the outfall of Moxley Creek, just if nothing else to protect the utilities that are in the ground. There's utilities in between the shoreline and the road. And you know, I'm not, you know, I won't speak for everybody, but the recently completed water edge that the city did for Percival Landing. I know that's a high amenity on our part, you know, beyond what is required by any means. But I sort of think of that as sort of a model in some ways, almost if we could collaborate in some way to have some kind of consistency around our peninsula. Now that is a higher amenity. That we exceeded what was required on our own part, but it's almost trying to strive or reach to you know, a quality edge, a soft edge, where we have you know, where we have development nonetheless.
Mayor, we'd be delighted to work with the city on seeing that come to fruition.
Yeah, and that's great. Really appreciate that. I think that's again, it represents our interest in partnering and trying to figure out a vision that is really
absolutely, and certainly just right across the street south is, as you know, where the empty lots are, and as Commissioner Barner had mentioned, we have some very high expectations of some very quality development taking place there. We're actually hoping to perhaps announce something early next year or late this year yet.
So, Councilmember Rowe.
Thank you. So I have a couple of questions. First, so when you're talking about building a hotel, can you use the little pointer and show us the hotel would go there?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is, this parcel is the parcel that is currently under option with Lori, who is out of Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are doing due diligence and market analysis to determine whether or not we are a good community that is right for that type of development. Said another way, we're under the microscope as a community if people want to invest in this community. So that it will, their option is a 12-month option. They signed it in end of January. Indications currently have been good, but there is nothing formative. It is still only an option. It is something that, you know, as the port would move forward, if we were to move forward with it, we would have a vetting process, a public process. All of our leases do come to our commission for approval, so that is a whole other step that we would be taking if that was the right step for us.
Okay. And then I have an additional question. Could you please go back to your vision? Yeah. Oh no, the other one more back.
One more.
Yes. Can you tell me what's the vision of those buildings? Yeah.
These?
Yes.
So this is what is referred to as the Swantown Village. It would be a series of commercial and retail operations that are related to marine uses. So it could be maybe somebody who finances the purchases of boats. Maybe somebody has a little corner store type of place that the boating community uses. Maybe it's somebody who sells outdoor wares for the boating community. The when this is actually probably the best one to use. This property, essentially all through here, was created in the, I want to say, late 70s, through maybe early 80s, through a project in which they had dredged this material and they put it upland here. And our permit with the Army Corps articulates the types of uses that can be used on those properties. So it's even one step above what we would want to do. We have to coordinate with the Army Corps in terms of what's acceptable. We do have that listed information. It is actually, we talk in our comprehensive, actually no, excuse me, those uses are articulated in the property development guidelines that we have. And it's everything that could be related to marine uses.
And then if you could go back to the vision again. Yes. So Mayor Bucksbaum already addressed this, but I'm still having a problem envisioning setbacks on there. So you said this is following the current regulations. So your the commercial buildings are 35 feet back from the shoreline? High water mark, is that right?
Well, if.
Or maybe staff can help. I'm trying to see the different setbacks, and that one doesn't help me as much.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll try to translate this as
Yes.
the best I can into this. There we go.
Into
So-
that one, yes.
So,
With your pointer,
yeah, this is the trail, if you have right here.
yes.
And on that previous one, that's about your 30 foot. So your 30 foot would come right about here,
Uh-huh.
okay? Your 100 foot would probably be coming right around through here, and 200 feet would essentially be the whole thing.
So maybe this is an odd question, but so the planning commission, when they did their recommendation, I'm just curious then, did they envision some development as well, just have further setback? Is that?
We can,
We can't speak on behalf of that.
Yeah, I don't
that-
know.
Well, I guess I'm struggling with the two different visions, and where we're meeting in the middle. I mean, I know it's a new planning commission, but I'm just curious, what did the planning commission have
Yeah. In mind, and
they'd have to speak for themselves.
yeah,
That-
and that was
If you don't know.
actually, it was.
I guess I'm thinking out loud.
No.
I am trying to, in my mind, visualize perhaps the other view, or maybe the compromise of the view, this land, and I'm struggling a bit with the contrast of the two visions.
In your packet, it was the questions that we submitted, it's got a July 25th date, it's actually the third page. We've been sort of internally asking these same types of questions. What was the concept that got us to the designations that we have now? Question number one, I think, is the question that I stated differently, but what you're asking is, what was the objective to be achieved by classifying that as urban conservancy? What was driving that difference of vision? And we don't know. It just showed up contrary to the vision that we had put forward. So it's a question that we'd like to have answered as well, if it's going to move forward as urban conservancy.
Councilmember Langer.
And
And if someone could pass, Councilman, yes, thank you.
so my question, and I hadn't thought about this for a long time, so I appreciate you bringing up the dredging issue, and then with the Army Corps of Engineers, and put some restrictions on use. So I'd be curious as to what those restrictions are, and also what sort of restoration requirements, because they usually tend to be connected to dredging, did they have that relate to that dredging project that added that land to the East Bay?
The simple answer, council member, is, the simple answer is that the property is restricted to maritime uses. That's the simple answer. It's, like anything, there are parameters on that, so if you have a general store and perhaps you're selling anchors along with groceries, does that qualify? We have to go to the Corps and ferret that out. But the simple response is there is a federal law that requires that any uses there are maritime related. And it has caused us some challenge, but we are working around it because, as you can see, we're attempting to develop the commercial and retail aspects out there, and so there are some restrictions to that. As to the mitigation on requirement, I would ask Alex to provide you just a little perspective on that relative to dredging and mitigation following.
For that particular dredging project, there was a mitigation requirement, and the lagoon over on West Bay, there is essentially the equivalent of a deed restriction on that lagoon that says the port owns those tidelands, and the port can only use it or maintain it as a natural area. And so if we wanted to make any alteration, we'd have to go to the Corps as well, but that was the mitigation for that particular project.
Okay, that was what I had sort of vaguely remembered, so thanks for refreshing my memory on that, because that's what I thought. But I was wondering, I mean, part of, I guess my question was, were there any, I know there's that stormwater retention area to the south of the marina, and I don't know if that was part of the requirement, or that was just the stormwater requirement.
I believe it was just the stormwater requirement to accommodate the paved parking areas over at the marina.
Okay.
Are we talking it's just south of this, there's, right there? Is
Yes,
that-
yes, exactly.
That is actually the stormwater treatment for the boatworks operation.
Okay.
So that is, if I'm stating that correctly, yeah.
Okay. Great, thank you, that answers my question.
But if I may, Mayor Buxbaum, just to answer this, I mean, it is a concern, anything other than commercial development out there. I know that there's been a lot of concern amongst the general public as far as the building of a hotel, let's just throw that out there. Perhaps any sort of condo type activity or residential living. Is that the concern that there seems to be coming from that question?
No, I was just wondering what, if any, restrictions the Corps had on that, so that we just wouldn't have to worry about it, because it was already taken care of by Corps restrictions and that,
So it sounds like we need to get you a detailed list of what that comes, what marine activity
It might be
is
really
defined
helpful to
as.
see that, just so that, because, you know, one of the things that we've been looking at is not unnecessarily overlapping things, so that if something is taken care of one way, then we don't have to take care of it another way.
Got it.
And so this is where my question was coming from.
Fair enough, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones.
Yeah, I think my question is for Mr. Harris. I've heard that the port is unable to provide residential development. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, it's not within the port's authority. That's correct, that residential development is not within the port's authority.
Agreed. So, I'm Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor Buxbaum, and maybe this is naive, but it popped into my head and wondering whether our SMP can actually regulate something operating on a Corps 404 permit.
Don't know the answer to that.
Well, because usually the Corps permits supersede everything.
So I know Chrissy's in the audience, but, you know, if I could just speculate here, I don't think that we would be able to do anything less restrictive than the, you know, if our regulation was less restrictive than the Corps', then the Corps' would be in place. But I think it's probably helpful for us to just have the full picture, if that's not too difficult. But I think, and actually, I'm gonna take a risk here and say that we're probably winding down at this point. And just this way of sort of summary, some of the things that I've heard that are, you know, definitely part of our common vision is a soft water's edge from North Point all the way down to Moxley. That the port is very invested in having public access in the trail that follows that shoreline. That you're looking for development that's complementary to your existing marina facility. That we've already seen essentially development within the area from North Point down to Moxley that is very much in step with the vision as you want to progress or continue. So, you know, I think I'm getting sort of a feel for the East Bay area, and certainly some of the things that we share in common in terms of that area of the shoreline. So Again, tonight is not a decision-making night for the council, but I think I certainly, benefited from hearing directly from the port and seeing some of your renderings and being able to speak contextually about this important area for Olympia and the region. So, I see Commissioner Barner wanting to.
Got his breath
One
back.
more little shot here.
Okay, just in respect to Commissioner Barner, we do have a business meeting that we need to.
And I understand, I appreciate you guys losing your dinner time, and, yeah, we really appreciate this. Just occurs to me, looking at that rendering of the Swantown Boat Works, that's there operated by private contractors to do business for both local and out-of-town boaters. So I would really urge the council to think long and hard about limits on both the expansion of the boat works and/or the effect of the non-conforming designation on the yacht club and the small marinas that are around downtown Puget Sound on Bud Inlet, because that is directly connected. One, it's kind of like hand in glove, one serves the other, and people need that ability to have repair facilities viable. We need to be able to have continued boats along the shoreline to feed those contractors. Thank you.
I'm going to just put a quick plug in to follow Commissioner Barner's comment. We are the first boat works area in the state that has received the Clean Marina Award, and as well as the Clean Boat Works Award. Just again, touting our environmental stewardship. We were the first to receive it, and right now the only one in that works. Mayor, thank you, and city council members, you've been very generous with the time. This has been very helpful for us. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are grateful as well, so thanks very much. Certainly ending on a positive note in terms of our joint interest in South Sound, so thanks very much. With no further business for the city council for this work session, we're adjourned.
Hey, 24 minutes to get downstairs. Yeah, I can pick up a hobby. Trains maybe.
That may be. Thank you for your art. Very nice.
Right. Plans around.
I don't think so.
Thanks,
Have you taken into consideration
Some of those pictures are.
in your